This is the question, the practice question that we're going to do today. If God is responsible for the wildfires, he must not be good. How can I trust a God who would do this? So that's your question. Think about it. Think it's applicable. Think it's relevant. These are the verses that came to my mind, and I don't know how I would answer the question. Let me just give you the verses that came to my mind, okay? And remember, there are different ways to approach the question. This verse first popped into my mind because I do believe in God's ultimate sovereignty even over hard things. And so this verse, Colossians 1:16-17, it's one of my go-to verses. Here's the other thing too. There are verses in the Bible where it's like you automatically can just go to it because it applies to everything. So for this, it's like I know this verse, it's in my heart, and it says that in Jesus, all things hold together. And the way that you can explain that is like, well, actually, we believe that, as Christians, I believe that God is in control of everything. Jesus is actually holding the entire world together. If Jesus wanted to let go, then we could all just disintegrate if we really wanted, if he wanted to do that. This verse says that Jesus is in control. And so I believe that God was in control over the fires. If he did not want it to happen, it would not have happened. I don't know why he wanted it to happen, but he allowed it to happen. And I'm not going to try to justify God or defend God. This is just how it is. And then you guys hit on this a lot, right? Jesus says in Mark 10:18, "Why do you call me good?" Jesus answered, "No one is good except God alone." So right here, it's like Jesus is saying that even to say that God is not good behind certain things, we don't know his reasoning. God can have multiple reasons for the things that he does, and sometimes we don't know why he does things, but as Christians we're called to trust in his goodness. Psalm 62:8, this is one of my go-to verses, to trust him at all times, so not only the good times but also the bad times. God is more concerned about us trusting him versus us trying to figure out who's to blame for things. And then also, I probably should have underlined this, but even in the hard times, we trust God and we go to him. The fires are a cause for us to want to go to God, not run away from God. He wants us to go towards him in the hardship. And then this verse, you guys hit it right on the head. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him or acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And so we don't understand, we don't know why God allows these things to happen. They just do, and we trust him again. That's what God wants us to do. Something else I probably should have hit on that I didn't, but this is a theme that I probably would explore with a friend, is that hey, just because God allows things to happen, that doesn't mean that Christians sit and do nothing. Actually, as Christians, we believe that we should actually come and be the hands and feet of Jesus and help people in need. And so we should be donating, we should be providing resources, we should be housing if needed, and we should be just supporting overall. I don't know how else to support, but those are the ways that came to my mind. As Christians, we don't just sit back and say, well, God did it, whatever. No, we believe that we can do stuff. And so, especially with something so close, right? With something so close, if your friend lost their home, the Christian thing to do is to say, you can stay at my place if you need to. How can I help you, right? And of course, everybody's situation is different. That's why the burden doesn't just fall on you, but it falls on all of us. Okay, let's pretend that somebody lost their home, and at your house, maybe you just had a baby or something, or there's a small baby there. Well, that might not be the best time to house somebody, but somebody else can, right? And so Christians, collectively, we share this burden to help other people. I cannot give all of my money to helping people that lost stuff. I personally cannot do that. That's why all of us are supposed to do it. So that way, if we all give a little bit, it can make a big impact. Right? And so I think the Bible is very clear about that, helping others in need, doing things like social justice. You guys know me, right? Widows and orphans is very big to me. We're all supposed to do this because the burden cannot fall on just one person. We all are supposed to show the love of Jesus in this way. When it comes to stuff across the world, that gets a little bit more difficult, right? Because then you're like, well, there's Christians across the world too, so they can do that. We are not called to do everything for everybody, okay? You have to have discernment about what your limits are and what you can provide, but at a minimum, you got to do something, right? We're not just supposed to sit back and say whatever. Prayers are good. We always need to pray, but God does call us to action too. So that's a piece that I probably would have put in there, especially if it was a friend. I would say, what can I do to help you? Did something happen? Yeah. And so if somebody asked me this question, I'd be like, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know why God allowed this to happen. I think that it's bad. I think that it's wrong. I think that it's horrible that people had to lose things. I don't think that we're without hope, though. I think that God wants us to turn to Him in these times. I think that God wants people to help with the situation, and I think God wants us to maybe have a wake-up call that life and death is real, and this world is not all that there is. Like, our homes are just homes. What's important are the people that's inside of the homes. Yeah, how can I help? Or like, what else are you thinking of? So that's kind of where I would probably go towards. Acknowledging that, like, this is horrible, but Christians are not without hope. I thank you for working through this exercise with me. It's hard. You guys have all have different friends too, right? And some of your friends, you can actually like joke through this with them, and like they would appreciate that maybe. Other friends, they probably want a more serious or more nuanced answer, and you can work through that. So go out into the world, be salt and light, and offer the hope that Jesus has given us.